The killing of global terrorist Osama bin Laden was a matter of grave concern as it proved that terrorists belonging to different groups find sanctuary in Pakistan. Pakistan continues to shelter anti-India elements and terrorist groups with renewed fervour after exiting the Financial Action Task Force's FATF grey list earlier this year. Unfortunately, China, an all-weather friend of Islamabad, places holes and blocks on bids by India and its allies to list Pakistan-based terrorists. A report. Pakistan continues to shelter anti-India elements and terrorist groups with renewed fervour after exiting the Financial Action Task Force's FATF grey list earlier this year. A media report has said that soon after Pakistan exited the grey list of the FATF, terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed began a large-scale construction work near its headquarters in Bawalpur. Jaish-e-Mohammed is engaged in construction work at its sprawling Jama-e Masjid Subhanallah headquarters in Bawalpur. Pakistani authorities have consistently claimed that Seminari has no link with the terrorist group that plotted and carried out the Pulwama blast in 2019 and the attacks on the Indian Parliament in 2001 and was also the main orchestrator of the attacks on Pathankot Air Base in 2016.
In the Kargil War and many other such instances, Pakistan has disowned its officers and soldiers who have been either caught by the Indian Army alive or they have been killed by the Indian Army. This is because Pakistan as a nation was created on the foundation of hating India. And when such news reaches the Pakistani media and the Pakistani people, it is a loss of face for the Pakistani establishment, including its army. Hence, to protect its image as a strong nation, Pakistan disowns its officers and soldiers who have been either killed or captured alive by the Indian Army.
There is a general consensus among security experts that many of these UN-designated terrorists run sham charity organizations that act as a facade to collect funds that ultimately are used to promote terrorism and Islamic radicalization. These terrorists enjoy the patronage of Pakistan's security agencies who use these outfits as their proxies. The United States has identified Pakistan as a base of operations of numerous armed non-state terrorist groups, some of which have existed since the 1980s. According to the Congressional Research Service, notable terrorists and other groups operating in Pakistan are of 5 broad but non-exclusive types. They include globally oriented, Afghanistan-oriented, India-oriented, domestically oriented and sectarian, that is, anti-Shia. The US State Department's Country Reports on Terrorism 2020, which were released in December 2021, note that Pakistan did not take steps under its domestic authorities to prosecute terrorist leaders residing in Pakistan. The reports further noted that Pakistan made limited progress on the most difficult aspects of its 2015 National Action Plan to counter terrorism.
That Pakistan is a haven of terrorism and has been nurturing terrorists through a policy which we can call as a foreign policy of cross-border terrorism against India and earlier against Afghanistan. This is a well-known fact, and that is the reason for last 2 years Pakistan has been investigated for its funding, financing of terror activities, because according to all estimates, whichever independent estimate you take, there are hundreds and hundreds of groups operating freely and often under the patronage of the Rawalpindi establishment.
Both the US and India are making efforts to blacklist these terrorists under the 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee of the United Nations Security Council. Unfortunately, China, an all-weather friend of Islamabad, plays holds and blocks on bids by India and its allies to list Pakistan-based terrorists. Despite obstacles created by China and Pakistan, India's fight against terrorism and its perpetrators blazes forward.